Lane Mandel. Now that the Sun Link Streetcars are sharing the road, we've added a few more travel tips. Whether you're a cyclist, motorist, or pedestrian, we'll show you how to safely travel in Tucson's streetcar corridor.
Let's start with some important tips for cyclists. To help cyclists navigate, look for pavement markings along the route. Green pavement markings, sharrows, bike dots, and green bike boxes. Bike boxes allow cyclists to position themselves in front of vehicles at intersections. Whether you're turning left, right, or going forward, using the bike box allows cyclists to be more visible. The bike box also aids in turning safely, crossing over the tracks and street. Cyclists have two options to make a left turn, a two-stage left and a vehicular left. For a two-stage left, the cyclist arrives from the bike lane and proceeds forward to the far side of the intersection. With a pivot, the cyclist faces towards the intended direction, pauses, and then moves with the next phase of the traffic signal, crossing the tracks safely at as close to a right angle as possible. To make a vehicular left, the cyclist approaches the intersection, checks to ensure that all is clear, signals, then crosses over the track at as close to a right angle as possible, yielding to oncoming traffic and obeying traffic laws and signals. Other street markings designed to guide cyclists include bike dots and green pavement markings. Sharrows, or shared lane markings, have two benefits. They help cyclists position themselves safely within the lane, and they alert motorists to the presence of cyclists in the same lane. Remember, a sharrow indicates that a lane is shared. It does not mean that a lane is dedicated to cyclists.
In certain areas along the route, cars parked on the street create door zones. A door zone is the space needed for a door to open on a parallel parked car. To stay safe, cyclists should avoid the door zone. When riding near the tracks, watch your wheels. Riding between or parallel to the rails is risky, and meeting the tracks at the wrong angle can be dangerous. The wheels of a streetcar sit on top of the rails, but the wheels are guided in grooves called flangeways or track gaps. The gaps are a bit wider than the typical bike tire. If a rider crosses the track at a shallow angle, the tire can drop into the groove and result in an accident.
Keep in mind that near some streetcar stops and at some intersections, the tracks move over to hug the curb, which can lead to an otherwise avoidable squeeze. A little wobble here can lead to big trouble. Sometimes it may be best to take an alternate route.
We touched on this earlier, but now that the streetcars are moving, this bears repeating. Riding a bike between a moving streetcar and parked cars takes concentration and care. Cyclists must pay attention to both the streetcar and watch for drivers opening a vehicle door into your travel zone or moving a vehicle in or out of a parking space. Streetcars will stop to pick up and drop off passengers at 23 stops along the route. It can be tempting to pass a streetcar while it is stopped, but it's not safe or legal. A Sun Link streetcar is almost 12 feet tall, so pedestrians cannot see cyclists coming around a streetcar, and you can't see pedestrians. Look for transit-only signs along the route. These lanes are only for buses and streetcars, not cyclists and motorists. Avoid the door zone. Control your speed. Use green bike boxes. Cyclists have two options for left turns. Cross tracks as close to a right angle as possible. Avoid leaning into the turn when crossing the tracks, but rather stay as upright as possible. Don't pass a stopped streetcar. Do not ride in transit-only lanes.